What's up, everybody? Jack Farr here on behalf of Box to Box Football. We're going to deliver you episode 2 of the B2B podcast. Obviously, we're in the midst of a big transfer window, as well as Euro 2020 and it potentially coming home. But don't say it too loudly. We need to will it into existence instead of speaking it into existence. Let's be clear. Before we get into the rundown, James, what's going on, mate? How's it going?
Just relaxing, chilling. Had a lot going on this week, but yes, I don't know if I'm gone yet. Yes, here just been watching a bit of tennis. Andy Murray finally goes through. Thank God for that. He puts us through hell every time we watch him. But yeah, let's move on.
Serena. Bit of a shame. I'll be honest. I like playing tennis more than I like watching tennis. I got to be honest with you. And obviously, when Serena's on, I keep watching the television. Rafael Nadal, I think, is probably my favorite tennis player ever. I love him to bits. I love Andy Roddick as well, more for the comedy. I think he's a funny guy. But Nadal's my guy. But when Serena's on, I watch, and it was a bit hard to see her go out the way she did.
Federer's my guy, so we have a bit of a thing going on here. But of course, I love Nadal too, but Serena's my number one, and like to see her go down. I wanted to get that 23. That 24 Grand Slam and equal Magger Court and one day break it, but
yeah.
The closer it gets, the more Grand Slams will pass. I feel like it's not going to happen. I really don't know what's going on. It's so unfortunate because she was favored to win this thing, and now something like that goes on. To me, they should have done something about the grass because players were slipping, all sliding, all Djokovic was sliding everywhere today.
Yeah,
they need to really take care of the players in that situation. But sad to see it go down. Maybe one day, maybe.
Also, it's Wimbledon. You'd expect some better kind of quality there, maybe in terms of maintenance. Just kind of final thing on that. Before we get to the rundown, I'm just interested to see what Serena does after tennis. Like, I feel like she's got quite a lot of power. I don't know whether it'll be like a feminist type thing or whether she'll go into politics or business, but I'm really intrigued to see what a character and you know, a personality like hers does after tennis.
I'll be interested to see what her daughter's gonna do because I've been seeing her lately. She's got a few strokes,
dude. I bet. Well, the genetics are strong there.
Could you imagine what happens? We're gonna see there. We might actually see the 24, but not from Serena. It might be from her daughter, which is crazy.
Dude, it might be. James, I guess I'll hit you with a bit of a rundown here. People listening, people at home. We're gonna get into transfers. And there's a lot of huge names potentially on the move. Some have been somewhat all but confirmed. There are some that are just rumors at this stage. We're also going to talk about the France meltdown. Everybody knows about the Rabiot, Mbappe, Pogba situation with their families, Varane arguing with Pavard and Pogba, and just all the issues going there. And obviously, you know, James, reminiscent of the France boycott of that one tournament way back when. Sterling or Kane? We're going to get into it, James and I. Some of you who saw us live, I think this is the kind of, what is it? The immovable object versus the unstoppable force, kind of a he said, she said type deal. And then we'll also touch on the Southgate doubters, which are still around. We've also got some new managers in the Premier League, some big name managers too. And I know an old favorite of James's, who obviously we will touch on shortly. Then we're going to get into Jack versus James. First of all, for the last 16 results, see who has a slight edge there. I won't leak who it is, but I think everybody can probably figure it out. And then we're going to get into the quarterfinal predictions as those have now been all showed up. So James, transfers, France meltdown, Sterling or Kane, Southgate doubters, new managers, Euro 2020. Where do you want to start?
First of all, I just seen this thing of Zidane playing football nowadays. Like with his Adidas thing and some of the touch, Jack, he still has it there. He might be able to still step on the pitch, but I feel like let's talk about transfers and let's get that big thing out the way. A massive deal just happened today.
Yeah,
so I think we might as well get that out the way first.
There's a lot here. So I guess, James and I will try our best here to go quick fire, but obviously some of it is more interesting than others. So first of all, I wanted to start with kind of the easy one, which we've also touched on multiple times in previous videos. James already touched on it. We've got just shy of £18 million. We have Jadon Sancho finally all but confirmed to Manchester United. What's your initial reaction on the price, the deal? James, the thing with Sancho, he was starting in the Bundesliga when he was 17. He's now 21. You know, he's still young. He feels like kind of a 24-year-old, but he's still so young.
I feel like it's a great deal for Man United, especially to get a player like that who, let's be honest, for Borussia Dortmund, who don't sell their players cheap, got him for under 100k, to me is massive. And for them, even a British player and a standard of British player that they're bringing in, it's huge. I'm happy for him because he finally gets to come to England. And now it's a thing where we're not seeing him in the England team as much as we would want to. But now him being a Man United, everyone gets to see him week in and week out now. You might get to see one where in the next World Cup we're gonna see Jadon Sancho playing regularly for England. But looking at it from Manchester United point of view, it's a fantastic signing. The
Yep.
one thing Manchester United have always been built on, you look at the past history and like when they've won, they've always had great wingers. If that's Andre Kanchelskis, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham,
George Best.
Cristiano Ronaldo, George Best, it's always been about their wingers. Even Nani, for instance, they've always had top wingers, and
Underrated.
now like very like underrated. Antonio Valencia, here's a player who gives them what they want. He's
Right.
not a player that always wants to come inside and join in the play. He can get to the byline. He can stand up at a defender, drop a shoulder, and put a ball into the box. He can pull it back. He is something that Manchester United don't have. They have a lot of players who are quite similar in what they want to do. Martial, who can do that, but is more of a central player. Greenwood, who is more of a striker. Rashford, the exact same thing, more of a striker. You don't have that out and out winger. And
Right.
that's what, to me, Jadon Sancho brings. But with Jadon Sancho coming in right now, I ask myself, what's going to happen with certain players in a Man United team? For instance, a big fan of someone like an Anthony Martial. He's been all right for Man United, but he hasn't lived up to the expectation. Is it time now?
They're
Go on, Jack.
they're marketing him in terms of hoping, I think, to sell him. I think that would definitely be the plan, whether that is to a Tottenham in the Premier League or abroad to somebody, certainly a transfer podcast I listen to, the Transfer Window podcast. They have discussed that he was offered to Real Madrid and Real Madrid turned down the opportunity to sign Martial, probably because they think they have bigger fish to fry, in terms of that position, namely Mr. Kylian Mbappe. But yeah, fascinating. But James, obviously, I know, great signing, position of need, good value, especially compared to what they would have played last year. So I don't think you or I are going to hate that. And, it's going to be very difficult not to see Jadon Sancho hit double-digit goals, double-digit assists, especially if he starts over 30 games next year. So moving on, an interesting one and a bit of a segue into Manchester United. This was a tweet originally from Fabrizio Romano, and then there were multiple other reports that came out from other sources as well. Cristiano Ronaldo is refusing to negotiate a new contract with Juventus, which has triggered the rumours that Juventus have approached Manchester United to talk about a Pogba-Ronaldo FFP swap deal. Now, what that means for everybody, the best example I can give is Artur Melo and Miralem Pjanic from Juventus and Barcelona. James, live reaction. Ladies and gentlemen, go James.
According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal have made a bid for Lopetegui, Italian midfielder Lopetegui, and that is huge.
Locatelli, Sassuolo.
Yeah.
Because you said Lopetegui, I was like, dude, that's a manager. He can't play anymore.
Listen, I'm terrible. I'm terrible with the Italian pronunciation, but Jack, if we get him,
he's a player.
Oh my days, I am excited.
How much?
Oh, it hasn't said how much.
Okay.
Like they've placed down, but apparently they're pushing hard. But Juventus are still favorites. But just to show the intent, it's massive to me, absolutely massive.
But with the Pogba-Ronaldo swap, and I think we'll get on, there are a couple Arsenal ones which I'm going to ask you about a little later on at the end of this segment, James. But with the Pogba-Ronaldo swap, it would be a financial fair play swap deal. So there'd be two individual transfers for a predetermined amount of money over the course of however many years, just to help each team with their financial fair play commitments. Now, Ronaldo would like to leave, and he would like to go back to Manchester United, and Paul Pogba would like to leave, and he would like to go back to Juventus. Apart from that, he would like to go to Real Madrid, but Real Madrid do not wish to sign Paul Pogba. Now, Combined in with that is the news that Roma have supposedly put an inquiry in to Manchester United to sign Edison Cavani. So, in the dream world of fantasy transfers here, Ronaldo would come back to Manchester United, Paul Pogba would go to Juventus, and Edinson Cavani would go to Roma, and Jose Mourinho would have his man to replace Edin Dzeko for a short period of time. First of all, James, we know that this stuff very, very rarely happens, but is that something you can see?
No, no, unfortunately. I feel like, listen, we love Cristiano Ronaldo, but I just think that to swap Ronaldo for Pogba at this stage of Ronaldo's career, he is 36 years of age. He's not a spring chicken anymore. This is Ronaldo 33. I'll be like, yeah, go for it. He's 36, you know, he can still, obviously, he's going to still score goals. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, guys. It's what he does. But it's not going to be at the level, and it's not going to be as long as Paul Pogba can do it for. I don't think none of them stuff are going to happen. Not one.
I actually think that the Pogba Ronaldo thing could happen. Now, that's purely because Pogba only has a year left on his deal, and the only other potential suitor for Paul Pogba would be Paris Saint-Germain. And I don't see, with Paris Saint-Germain's midfield options, them potentially going out and signing somebody like Paul Pogba, especially with, and this is a nice little segue, Achraf Hakimi from Internazionale to Paris Saint-Germain for 70 million euros. James, your reaction to this deal and also the idea that actually PSG may not be able to get Paul Pogba?
Um, it's a bit of a weird one for Akram Fakimi, if I'm being honest, because I remember like there was a video of him like after Inter won the trophy, and it's pointing to the camera like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm here to stay." And now for him to go, of course, you understand the situation, but behind it, the fact that Inter don't want to take that next step, they have financial problems. But is it a good signing for PSG? Yes. Is the money a bit excessive for the player? Yes. But that's the price you pay for a player like that. How much exactly is he going for again?
70 million euros.
70 million. So you're talking about maybe 59 million pounds. It's a lot of money. But again, for what this guy can produce, especially going forward, the option that he can bring, I think it works out for them. But the question is right now with PSG is that if they do bring in, they're going to bring in Akram Fakimi. That to me rules out a Paul Pogba deal. That
Right.
rules out a number of deals in that situation.
But then, James, so Paul Pogba's camp is then left with Juventus or bust or signing a new deal, which he does not want to do. And if Ronaldo does, once he gets back to Italy, decide I don't want to be in Italy anymore, Jorge Mendes is going to pick up the phone to Manchester United and see if they can work out a deal. Manchester United then have their forward option. Cavani can then maybe let go to Roma or to somewhere else, and then it's a Sancho, Ronaldo, Rashford, you would imagine, frontline for Manchester United. So all stuff that could happen. But guys, you're talking about major agents in a deal like that. That's a Jorge Mendes and Mino Raiola deal right there. And remember, Mino Raiola is under pressure from Paul Pogba to actually get a move this summer, or he's going to cut ties with the big Italian. Moving on to the next one, James. Erling Haaland. We've seen a lot of stuff about him agreeing personal terms with Chelsea, all this kind of stuff. The latest has been that Mino Raiola thinks that a move to Chelsea and making sure that there is a release clause which goes down year after year that he's there will mean that Erling Haaland will have multiple big moves over the course of the next 5 years or so. So Mino Raiola can get as much money as he can, and Erling Haaland can get as much money as he can. I think the idea here is that if Erling Haaland goes to a Real Madrid or one of the truly, truly elite clubs, he's going to be there for the next 10 years. Whereas if he does go to Chelsea, we've seen with the likes of a Hazard, you can be there for a good amount of time, but when the big guys call, Chelsea will usually accept the deal. I'm just to get my take out of the way quickly, because it's quite a quick one. I do not see Borussia Dortmund losing Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland in the same transfer window. I think that is absolute madness. That's them signing away their chances of the Bundesliga next year, in my opinion.
Borussia Dortmund are unfortunately a selling club. Jack, you know what happens when they have top players. They go. It is what it is, you know. If the money's right, Erling Haaland leaves. But I just don't feel. I think Chelsea would be stupid enough to do a deal where it could be a thing where he could leave for 70 million in the prime of his career. I don't think it's going to work out for Chelsea in that situation. You
Right.
sign him, you want to sign him to a big deal where like you can get as much as you can get from Erling Haaland. Chelsea aren't a Borussia Dortmund. Chelsea don't have a small mind. Chelsea don't have a small mentality with it where they can have an agent throw him about the place. I don't see that happening in that situation. I think if he does go to Chelsea, which I think is a possibility, because Chelsea want to take their game to the next level. They want to challenge, and they're a striker away from being that team. And do I think it's going to happen? I would give it a 60% chance that he will join.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's
I,
high.
I feel like when Roman Abramovich presses, when he comes with his presence, it's a different sort of push. You know, he's done it with a lot of strikers, Jack.
I think without the release clause in place this summer, and also with having sold Jadon Sancho, I think the price you'd be looking at for somebody like Erling Haaland would be 150 million plus. And when Dortmund set a price, they don't have any wiggle room there. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm probably 20% chance of this happening. I really don't see it. I think that with Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, one more year at Dortmund, and then a huge move to a Real Madrid or another one of these big
And I'm
kind of
pretty sure
teams.
next year, like his release clause is officially activated for 70
Yes.
million.
Yes, exactly.
But if you're Borussia Dortmund, there, I understand you can get a year out of him. Is that year worth you losing 70 million?
If
You
they
got to
make
ask yourself that.
if they make top four again, because without him they might not make top four, and it would cost them a lot more than that.
But Jack, 160 on your belt. Could you imagine players you can bring in 150? Like that's a
But
lot.
but Chelsea, you don't think Chelsea will pay 150 for Erling Haaland, do you?
If the Chelsea, if they want to show ambition, they know what to do.
I thought they showed ambition last year with Werner and Havertz for the price
Oh
they
yeah,
paid for those guys.
no, but yeah, but like Jack, Erling Haaland is a step above Timo Werner. Let's
Um,
be honest.
so on to the next one. Now, I don't know where this saga is going. Harry Kane and Jack Grealish for Manchester City, 100 million plus supposedly on the table for both players. How is this mess being sorted out, James?
Does financial fair play actually work, or like what are we doing, Jack?
No, they do what they do, James, is they have the what's his name, Tiki Bagiristan. He gets on all fours and they blow up a couple soccer balls and they just kick it at him, and then they go, right, you've been punished now for financial fair play.
This is like, if that happens, then
Joke.
wow,
Yeah, joke.
wow. But okay, yes, I get it. Bringing in Harry Kane's big, but is losing a Riyad Mahrez and a Raheem Sterling, and then bringing in Jack Grealish that big of an upgrade?
I agree with you, James. I think you're going. I think you've got to say realistically, Sterling and Mahrez is maybe a B plus. Sterling is maybe an A, and maybe you're making, Jack Grealish is maybe an A plus. But on some days, Jack Grealish is maybe an A.
But Jack, if I'm being truthfully honest, yeah, I like Jack Grealish in that. But Jack Grealish isn't better than Riyad Mahrez. He isn't. Jack,
Oh,
he
I think he's
he
much
isn't.
better than Mahrez. Yeah, I think he's definitely a huge upgrade on Mahrez. Sterling though, it's pretty close.
Wait, what are you basing on? Ability wise, I don't think so. I
A
think
bit.
ability wise, Riyad Mahrez is a much better player.
Ability, potential, end product, age, value, all that stuff.
I don't think it's that big of an upgrade. Yes, Jack Grealish is great, but listen, it's becoming to me with the Jack Grealish thing, and people need to relax with Jack Grealish. Yeah, in English do it a lot. When you see a half decent player, you make him bigger than what he actually is, right? Jack Grealish isn't this defining, era-defining player. He's a fantastic football player, but relax. He is not the be-all and end-all. Will he become a better player? Yes, but is he like a Ballon d'Or? Is he a world-class footballer? No.
At Man City, under Pep
Jack,
Guardiola, winning a Champions League and a Premier League and maybe an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup,
winning,
I
well,
think
like,
he
okay,
absolutely could be a Ballon d'Or winning player.
listen, I don't think
James, the
I
era
don't
of
think Jack Grealish goes to Man City and they automatically win a Champions League. No,
I don't
I
think
don't
it's
think so.
automatic, but I would tell you that, with what they have there already, and we saw how close they've already come. Pep Guardiola, I would imagine, is never going to leave that club until they succeed it. And with Jack Grealish there, Jack Grealish is a massive, I say massive, Jack Grealish is an upgrade on all the wide talent they have there, all of them. Now, we can debate the varying degrees of an up. Do I think Jack Grealish is that much better than Sterling? No, but he is better. Do I think he's better than, Bernardo Silva? Yes, I think he's a lot better. Bernard and Riyad Mahrez, I think he's better. A bit better than I think he is than Sterling. But he's a huge upgrade. And James, to be clear, this was the player of the year. Before his injury and before Kane started popping off, this was the PFA player of the year.
I just feel like Jack Grealish, I think he's a top player. Do I think he's better than on current form right now? You could say he's better than Bernardo Silva. But overall, I think Bernardo Silva is still a better player than him. I still believe
that's not right.
Riyad Mahrez is a better player than him.
James, and I still believe that's crazy too.
And I believe Raheem Sterling is a better player than Jack Grealish at this moment of time. But Jack Grealish still has a lot to prove. He has a lot. Like, has he really proven much?
Yes. Are you kidding? Yeah.
A player who hasn't done it on the world stage yet, hasn't played Champions League football, hasn't done it. Like, he still needs to prove it, Jack.
But we've seen him on these Euros, James. The only time that England have looked any sort of decent attacking threat is when Grealish has come on the field. And that there's no surprise in that. The assists, chances created, fouls won, completed dribbles, all these kinds of things, key passes. It's all stuff that only when Jack Grealish is on the field, this stuff happens. So I think it's huge for him. Harry Kane. Thoughts on Harry Kane, because the latest, and obviously we'll get on to the new manager who's been appointed, but the latest is that Levy is not selling, and that Man City going, look, here's 100 mil on the table, was their way of having Daniel Levy have to physically say no and face the backlash from Harry Kane and the fan base. Thoughts?
I feel sorry for Harry Kane because we can all tell what he wants to do. He wants to go to Daniel Levy, he wants to go to Tottenham. Yo, you man, I did enough, let me leave. Yep. Let me leave. But he doesn't want to upset the fans and he doesn't want to upset the club. But it's hard in this situation because Harry Kane may be at Tottenham for another 2 more years. The ambition could be maybe they get a top 4 place and that's it. He he's in a position right now where for him right now, it's right.
Even then, James, now? That would be one hell of an achievement for Spurs, don't you think? Top 4? I don't think that's likely.
Yeah, but Jack, is Harry Kane going to sit there in like 20 years' time telling the kids, oh, let me show you my trophy cabinet and all my top 4, all my 4. You don't even get a bronze. You don't even get a bronze medal for finishing 4th, Jack. Come on, no. God, it's hard for Harry Kane because he wants to leave. He wants to challenge, but he doesn't want to upset the fans, and I feel like he's like a little scared boy at this moment of time. He's like he wants to stand up to that bully and like, no, let me leave, like leave me alone.
I just say, I think behind closed doors, I think he is standing up, and I think he is puffing out his chest, and I think he's going, look what I've given you. Look what I've given you. Let me move. Get the right money for me. Let me move. I think behind closed doors, I think the problem, James, is you're toying with a really, really good, consummate professional who has a bit of class about him. And what you don't want to do is poke the bear, right? Because the moment you start poking the bear starts getting desperate. And what the bear's going to do is publicly, maybe to Gary Neville on a golf course one day in the future, he's going to go, I look into the camera and go, I'd like to leave. And then Daniel Levy's got another question about it, because right now, Kane is being respectful. He's being a professional. But I think behind closed doors, he's made his intentions perfectly clear. So, James, this is the only one really I'm going to ask you this on. Where's Harry Kane playing next year?
I think he's still playing at Tottenham, unfortunately.
Where's Jack Grealish playing next year?
Ooh, depending on how this Euros go, maybe Man City.
I think Kane's going to be at Spurs, and I think Grealish might also be at Villa. And I'll tell you why. Man City are trying to sell a lot of their players, a lot of them. And that includes Bernardo Silva. That includes Raheem Sterling. That includes Riyad Mahrez. They're marketing and trying to shop all these players. I don't know if there's going to be suitable offers for all of them or any of them realistically for Man City to take. So I think City are going to be stuck with what they got. And then are they really going to put that extra money on the table to get another winger? I'm not so sure. So I have a sneaking suspicion, actually, that Kane and Grealish will both be at their current clubs come the end of the summer, but we shall see. James, are you surprised at all that Sergio Ramos, after all these links with Paris Saint-Germain, has still not found a club yet, or at least agreed in principle to join a club?
Taking his time, making sure the price is right. Jack Keith, this is probably one of his final deals as a professional player playing for a top club. He wants to make sure that he gets the right money, and he want to make sure his family is good in the situation. I won't be surprised if he told his agent, listen to everyone before we make that decision, because he probably has his heart set on PSG. But if a Man City offers a crazy amount of money, why would he not want to go to Man City? So I think he's just waiting, playing it out. It may be to think after like the Euros and everything, where like all eyes would then be on football again. Then like
Right.
he'll probably announce
Ask
it.
for more money. Right. Yeah, it's a weird one. I also think I think he's playing the game, James. I think that you're an idiot in terms of a business sense. I think you're an idiot if you accept the first offer that comes in. And I think that Sergio Ramos has been around a long time. I don't know who his agent is, but I'm sure they've been around the block too. And they're going to try and get as much as they can out of the situation as possible. And he'll be linked to a bunch of different teams until Paris Saint-Germain eventually pay what Ramos wants, I would think. Moving on to 3 players, James, with 1 year left on their deal. And what I'm going to ask you is what you think will happen. And if you were their advisor, what you would do. So 2-part question. First of all, what you think will happen. Second of all, what you'd advise them to do. I've got Leon Goretzka, who has recently obviously turned down, I say obviously, who has turned down a contract extension with Bayern Munich, who has been recently
He
linked.
has?
Sorry?
He has? He has turned down the contract extension with...
Extension, yeah. He got offered an extension with Bayern, which he turned down, and then the inevitable Manchester United links started if Pogba were to leave. So Leon Goretzka has a year left on his deal. What do you think he'll do, and what would you advise him to do? Kylian Mbappe, year left on his deal, still not announced a new deal. Obviously, he told them last summer that he wanted to leave and wasn't going to sign an extension, and the Real Madrid rumor started. What should he do and what will he do? And obviously, I know you're a big fan of this guy, and watching him play, I totally know why. Edouard Camavinga at Rennes has 1 year left on his deal also. What should the young French midfielder do? And what should he do as well? So, James, starting with Leon Goretzka, what do you think is going to happen now?
I feel like him and Bayern are going to come to a conclusion, and he's going to sign. He's going to get the deal he wants, and he's going to sign with them. What he should do is probably hold out and wait for a team like Man United to come in, a Man City, a Liverpool. I think he would be amazing at Liverpool. That's something that I would love to see, but I think he's probably going to sign for Bayern Munich. Kylian Mbappe, what Kylian Mbappe should do is to come to Arsenal. Yeah. Yeah, that's for me. That's what he should do. What he will do.
You've always been an unbiased advisor.
Listen, and Wenger should have signed Mbappe. He was talking about this Mbappe stuff a long time ago. But if I'm being honest, like it just seems the Real Madrid stuff is inevitable. It will happen. It will happen. Let's not act like it won't happen. Mbappe's dreamt about Ronaldo. That's his guy, and Ronaldo's done amazing things for Real Madrid. Real Madrid need that next star. It will be it is going to be Real Madrid. I feel like he might have an agreement with PSG where he might sign a deal, give him 1 more year, and then leave the summer after, or maybe 2 more years and then leave the summer after, and that might be something that works out.
Do you not feel that might put Real Madrid's nose out of joint a little bit? Because they'll go, look, if you don't sign that deal, we can get you for free, and maybe the transfer money we would have given you, we can give you as part of a signing bonus, or maybe bigger wages. Because I just feel like that might just put Real Madrid's nose out of joint a little bit.
Do you know what it reminds me of? One Cristiano Ronaldo season 2000, and coming into 2009-8 season, he was meant to sign for Real Madrid. It was rumored it was going to happen. Ferguson spoke to him, said, give me 1 more year. And I feel like that's what they're trying to do in a situation where it's a thing where Mbappe doesn't need to rush to join Real Madrid right now. He's at the age right now where he can still prove and do some more stuff with PSG. So it's not a thing where he's rushing yet. Right. When he around 23, 24, maybe he's thinking, okay, get me that move now. But what, he's 20, 21, 22 right now?
22.
He just needs to relax at this moment. To maybe give it a year or two.
Edouard Camavinga. Ren, 1 year left
Join
on his
Arsenal.
deal.
This guy, to me, it's a one where it's whatever he wants.
Okay.
If he wants to sign for Real Madrid, he can sign for Real Madrid. If he wants to sign for Man United, he can sign for Man United. So many different options there. The one thing I wouldn't do in that situation, if I was him, if I'm being truthfully honest, do not sign for Real Madrid.
Right.
Sign for a team where you're gonna develop well. You going into Real Madrid, you know how hot that place is. You know, like Real Madrid are a team that doesn't wait for players. If you can't do it, then you know what it's like. It's like there, and I've seen young players suffering, especially in the center of midfield, where they are building, but they always want the next best thing. They always
Right.
like they always want the player who's there now. He to me needs time. He's a young kid. I want to see him join Arsenal. If I'm being truthfully honest, Arsenal probably should be his best option.
And what's the prediction of what he actually does?
Signs for Real Madrid.
Dude, no way. So just my take on those three. Yeah, James. We know this. This is any veterans of the transfer window know that any links with Manchester United should be taken with not just a grain of salt, but probably about 50 grains of salt, because we know that that is a team with high revenues who are always going to be used to leverage new deals. They're always linked with everybody under the sun. So Goretzka will sign a new deal at Bayern. That's what I think will happen. And what he should do, what I'd advise him to do, I'd advise him to sign a new deal at Bayern. He's a German player, German international. He's playing for Germany's best team. He's young, and the team is only going to have success. Will always play Champions League football and will always be a threat, especially with this new project. Julian Nagelsmann, maybe an Erling Haaland in the future, Dayot Upamecano. Yeah, Mbappe, it's an interesting one. I agree with James. I think Real Madrid is the best bet. And I also think that going forward, I would advise him to go to Real Madrid. He's ready. It's time. Camavinga, I think he should go to PSG. I know that sounds awful. I would only tell him to go to PSG if he was assured playing time, which I think he will, to be fair. I think if he were to go there, he would start. But he needs to kind of take the path, in my opinion, of somebody like a Kylian Mbappe. Because, James, let's be clear, like Mbappe, quote unquote, played it safe. But in terms of his development, I think he made the absolute right choice. And I think Camavinga should do the exact same thing. So, moving on to the final three names. These are all Arsenal boys. We saved dessert for last. So, James, you may not know these people, but I see some potential upside. So we have Portuguese left back Tavares potentially joining for about 8 million euros. And we have Belgian midfielder Lokonga close to joining for 17.5 million euros as well. Now, both of these guys, we've got a Benfica and an Anderlecht player. Both of them play for their national under 21 sides respectively. Your thoughts on these deals, the kind of lower spend that we're looking at here? You know, you're getting basically both players for just over £20 million. Tavares can also play right back, and Lokonga you've got there as a central midfielder. Your thoughts on these two guys before we start talking about Locatelli?
I don't know too much about both of them, if I'm being truthfully honest, but I
Neither do
feel
I.
like I can see where the club's going at in trying to buy young. And of course, if the upside is that they do well, they can obviously be a long-term player for the club, but also sell at a good price. Because buying them at this sort of price right here, like you're surely going to make profit. But no one asked them; they're probably going to sell them for £2 million. But I like the mindset, but then I want to see a push with the other players. To me, that's the big thing. All right, like are they both going to come in and be actual starters for the team, or like squad players in the situation? And what's going to happen to a player like Joe Willock now? Because who's the guy, the midfielder again? What's the name of the midfielder
Oh,
again?
Lokonga from Anderlecht.
Lokonga coming in. He's a midfielder. Does that stop Joe Willock from coming in? Like Newcastle did offer. I think I'm not sure how much Newcastle offered for him, but is it a thing where maybe Joe Willock is thinking now they just brought in another player right here? Maybe it's my time to go in the situation. Arsenal can probably get a bit more money for him. Based on what he did for Newcastle. There's a lot of things to handle right here, but I like the deals. Looking at the approach of the club, but I want to see us go for the killers too.
I agree with you, James. How many times have we seen an Arsenal transfer and go, okay, like decent player, probably a good backup, good squad player. If he has to start, he'll never mess up too badly, but it's never going to take that extra step. I remember when Cedric became a right back for you guys, I remember thinking, oh, okay, decent quality backup for Bellerin if he starts playing better. But then it's like, well, he's starting games occasionally. What the hell's going on here? This isn't a squad player. This isn't a backup. What the hell's going on? Now, I like these deals if these guys are young, developmental players who can become potential starters, and if not, they're squad players. But I only like these deals if Guendouzi's out the door, if Torreira's out the door, if some of these unwanted names, Lacazette, we know is being shopped around, these guys are the ones that have to go to make room for these players for it to make sense.
I would keep Guendouzi, but depending on the price that we can get for him, let's just like it seems like we want to keep him. It seems like we want to sell him, but the upside of selling him, we might actually lose because the amount of money we brought him in for. I know it was five. I think it was like 5 million. But a player with Guendouzi's ability, who could, let's say, in a few years' time, go for like nearly 60 million.
Yes,
I just don't want to take that risk, in that situation. But there's just a lot going on at this moment of time when I asked him. But I want to talk about the last one.
So Locatelli, we've seen him play. It's a very, 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 trust me, I know this, a very competitive central midfield setup there in Italy right now. And Locatelli's played some games, and he's arguably looked one of the better ones of the 4 or 5 options that they have in there. Obviously, Lorenzo Pellegrini missing because of injury, unfortunately. But Locatelli, Sassuolo, we don't have figures yet. Supposedly, it's just kind of broken tonight. But James, Locatelli, Partier, what are we thinking?
Oh, Jack, don't listen. Don't do that to me. The only thing about Son Locatelli is how does he settle in? Because we've seen the exact same thing with Torreira, that had a great first season but struggled settling in to London, and that might be a thing that we might need to take a look at. But the guy's 23 years of age. He's a deep line playmaker, something that we lack. A player who we give him that time, on the ball, he can create, and you've seen something that he done in this Euro so far. He can score goals, and that's one thing that we lack. A goal scoring midfielder, and that's what he can also bring to him. I also love the size of the guy. You have a Partey with him there.
This signing says to me that Xhaka to Roma is almost complete. If it happens, if even the interest has started, it tells me that Arsenal, the kind of main directors and decision makers at Arsenal, seem pretty confident that Xhaka will be a new Roma player. That's what it says to me. And also with your signing of Lokonga as well, I think some of those fringe players who you have, they are also confident on them potentially going out as well.
Also, don't be surprised if you see Renato Sanchez at Arsenal, because I've seen Gabriel tweeted that, do you want to come join Arsenal, something like that, and he shows I'm waiting or something like that. So, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get excited because Arsenal disappointed me so long. So I'm just going to chill. Jack, let's move on. Don't want to talk about Arsenal.
You'll have Tavares and Lokonga starting first game next season. Don't worry. But James, in all seriousness, 2 under-21 internationals, potential there. Potential. I'm not saying it will happen, but there's potential. James, do you realize we are 47 minutes away from Lionel Messi no longer being a Barcelona player? Your thoughts?
I've been waiting to do this Lionel Messi video, like this big video, guys. I've been saying I was going to drop and I was going to do. I haven't even done it yet. So hopefully I'll do it soon. But I feel like he's going to sign. But I think Messi just wants to feel like what it's like to be a free agent. The best player in the world, just out here, just chilling. Yeah, I don't play for no team no more. It's crazy to think, but we all know what's going to happen. I think it's already been reported that he's already agreed, just waiting on 1 or 2 things. And I think that probably everything will be announced as soon as this Copa America thing is done. I don't blame Messi that he doesn't want to think about that. He doesn't want to think about signing a new deal till he hopefully gets Argentina over the line. So at this moment in time, for the next week or so, the best player in the world, arguably the greatest player of all time, will be a free agent. So just enjoy it.
Just so that people listening, people watching know, James and I will be going live if it is a Brazil-Argentina Copa America final. If the favorites win each of the games, then it will be, and James and I will be doing a live watch along for that. So please join us for that if that does come along. James, I totally agree with everything you just said. Messi doesn't want the distraction. He wants to focus on the team. It's already been agreed and signed. I fully expect and believe that, and it will be announced probably the day after the Copa America finishes. Hopefully, with him actually lifting the trophy,
on his head or on his shoulders, something like that.
In his shirt, so he can hold up his shirt.
Or like the classic Messi head down tears, Argentina style. Listen, I really want them to win.
It would be hard to watch, dude. It would be hard to watch if that happened
again. Please, just let them win this one. I really want Messi to win.
As a percentage that he's not a Barcelona player next season. Single digits, 0 point something.
Give me 2%.
2%. Okay, I tend to agree. I might even go to 1%. Seriously, it really does feel that way, doesn't it? So James, moving on to kind of a topic that seems pretty assured, onto something that's not very assured at all, and actually seems like it's kind of representative of the way that their tournament went overall. France, a little bit of a meltdown. So in the space of about 2 days, we had a report that Rafael Varane comes in the dressing room and says, Pavard, what the hell are you doing? You were at fault for a couple of these goals here. Pavard then says, well, it was Paul Pogba's guy. So then Varane goes and finds Paul Pogba and argues with Paul Pogba. What do you make of these dressing room antics? The comments from Mbappe regarding Giroud, all this kind of stuff going on.
What happened with the Pogba in Mbappe stuff? What exactly happened with that? I'm not sure.
Which part are you referring to?
Because about them did they have a spat or like something like that?
Oh no. So in the dressing room, supposedly Rafael Varane was chewing out Pavard for a mistake that was made.
And no. I'm talking about the Giroud and the Giroud and
I think
Kylian Mbappe thing, but
I think it was largely taken out of context, but basically what happened was Mbappe was basically saying like, well, I'm going to prefer to play with somebody like a Benzema or somebody like an X, somebody like a Y, and kind of putting Giroud down a little bit.
Oh, listen, I don't blame him. I'd rather play with a Benzema too. You've seen the quality of like Kareem. No, there's no disrespect to Giroud, top player. Very, very underrated, but Benzema's just that bit better. Also, this is
James,
just France.
Adrien Rabiot's mum having a go at Mbappe and Pogba's mum for their arrogance. I mean, what is that?
Welcome to France.
Yeah.
Welcome to France. If you think it's bad with the type of like antics that go on around England, it's worse in France. Just when they win, it's all cool. And yeah, we like you guys. But when they lose, you see the true colors of certain people. And I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the country in general. When they win, we're with you. When you lose, who are you? And that's just what it is. I hate that sort of thing that players do when you lose and you just pick out one player. Paul Pogba didn't lose that game for them. The whole team lost it.
Arguably their best player too.
I can't believe that you're just gonna pick out one player, and if it's a thing where you just point, oh, he did it. Everyone should be taking responsibility. Everyone should be held accountable for that situation there, because that wasn't good enough from the whole team. The tempo dropped. Why did they start off like that? Huh? Because they shouldn't have been in that. They shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. And then I'm hearing the Adrien Rabiot stuff. Apparently, she came after Pogba's mom. She called Mbappe. She told Mbappe's dad that your son's arrogant. Like, listen, I've been a fan of Rabiot. I've been a fan of Rabiot for a long time.
I haven't.
But the one thing that I've always heard about him is his attitude. His attitude and like just what goes on with him. The attitude is what is holding him back. And I just said, you know what, the talented player in there. But finally, I see where this attitude comes from. And it just stems from the parents.
His mum.
Yeah. Literally. And for
her... speaking with Joaquin, who is a previous flatmate of mine, he talked about this kind of privileged Parisian family. Adrien Rabiot, I don't think has really had to work a day in his life. And I think a lot of his opportunities in life, whether that's on the football field or anywhere else in life, has largely been kind of given to him on a silver platter. And unfortunately, as we know, a lot of sports people, usually the reason why they become so successful in sport is because they have to outwork all the other people who have been given everything with that silver spoon. And I think that maybe Rabiot not achieving the heights of somebody like maybe a Paul Pogba. And I don't want to comment on Pogba's background growing up, but I would guess that it's not been the same level that Adrien Rabiot had in Paris.
Was Adrien Rabiot a part of the team that won the World Cup? Just shows no, I don't think he was. I think
No.
France are probably better off without him in the situation. But Jack, this is what France is. Yeah? You remember in the 2010 World Cup, the whole drama about that. During like the 2014, you had the Sami Nasri stuff. There's always problems with this team.
Yeah.
So many divas, so many he said, she said stuff. But to filter over to the parents and what goes on there, I just think it's just a bad look on the country.
It's like Sunday League, James. It's like kids, and you coach kids. I'm sure you've seen some crazy parents in your time as well.
Jack, I've had to straighten up some parents, be like, listen, don't be shouting at them, don't talk.
Yeah.
It's football. You should not get involved in that situation.
Right.
Enjoy. They lose, you cuddle them, you let them know everything's gonna be all right. You're trying to get after someone. What type of this is professional football? These are grown men. It's crazy. Absolutely. I just don't know. But this is France in general. You look at the Benzema stuff too. Come on. It's always been like that with
yeah. And I think it seems somewhat systemic. And I'm not going to blame Deschamps, but as the manager, it's the kind of thing you'd want a strong manager, a strong leader to kind of pull out. So, we'll see what happens, because I think Deschamps, they maybe they'll think his time has come with the World Cup looming in 18 months.
I think it's already confirmed that he will be in charge for the World Cup.
Okay. So moving from France, the national team, to French legend in his own right, James, your old mate, Patrick Vieira, is the new Palace fan. Thoughts? New Palace fan. Well, I suppose he is a Palace fan, but he's also the Palace manager. Thoughts?
I absolutely love it. And for the reason, I'm be truthfully honest, just to see a black coach get an opportunity, and especially someone like Patrick Vieira, who has worked and worked and worked, and yes, has had his shortcomings, but to finally be given an opportunity like that at the Premier League, at that level. And this didn't come from him having his privileges as a football player. Jack, do you know where this guy's had to go to just get a job like this? He's been hell and back. He had to go to America at it, at a time. A Premier League legend has had to do that compared to other players who just gone in for it because of that who they are. It's great to see. I hope God that he does well. I hope he brings something to this team that helps them at least top half finish for this Crystal Palace team.
Does it not worry you that Palace are one of these teams that does flirt with danger? You never really see any long-term development. And because, James, what I worry about for some coaches is some coaches can go into these jobs, and if they don't do a good job, they can shrug and they can go, no big deal, I'll get another opportunity. The thing that worries me about Patrick Vieira, is he walking into a job with maybe an unhappy Wilfried Zaha, with some players that need replacing, some squad that needs rejuvenating? Is it going to be a difficult job for him to show what a great manager he is? Because I think you and I know he knows ball. This is not some schmuck. He knows football, and he is a good manager. But I just wonder if he's walking into the right opportunity at this point.
As long as it's not a Frank de Boer situation, I'm good.
It won't be that bad.
Again, I don't know what's going to happen with the Wilfried Zaha, because it just feels like every freaking summer right now, I want to leave. You're going to see him in a Crystal Palace shirt. Next season.
Honestly, I'd strike if I was him. If I got to that stage of wanting to leave every single window and them saying no, first of all, I wouldn't sign new deals. That might help.
Listen, for footballers to sign new deals and then say that they want to leave, I'm like, listen, just get out of there. You put yourself in that position in the first place. Don't want to hear you moaning about I want to leave now.
To me, he is getting to a stage though where it's like he outgrew that club a long time ago. And they should have at least tried to figure something out, even if it was an expensive loan deal. I think that could have worked. But yeah, I'm excited for Vieira, but it's one of these difficult jobs to take. You know, we could easily see Palace in a relegation battle, and unfortunately, that is not what Patrick Vieira is all about. James, moving to another part of London, Nuno Espírito Santo, Spurs boss. Your reaction?
I would feel bad if I'm Nero Espírito Santo, because it's almost like, you know, like when you get to the club and like you see the girl that you want, but she's not feeling you. Then you go to the other one, she's not feeling you. And it just you listen. You're looking. Everyone that you tried just not feeling you, and then you
Right.
get to the end of the club and you see that one over there and be like,
she's drunk, thrown up already. Right.
come on, home. It's that like that's what like that's what it feels like at this moment of time with this Tottenham team. But to be fair, it was one that you mentioned a long time ago that should have happened, and I feel like it should have. Daniel Levy probably should have saved his embarrassment and should have went for him earlier instead of going through all this loop because he knows that he isn't the first choice. He wasn't the first choice. They've been through 10 managers before him, managers that he's probably better than. They actually went there before him, but it's a thing that Tottenham. It's a great club. He has that Portuguese type thing. I'm not sure he can use his Wolves ways around Tottenham, but does he make Tottenham an instant top 4 team? I don't think so.
Neither do I.
I think he comes in there, gives them structure. They're going to be hard to beat. You're going to see Tottenham play on the counter again, but it doesn't make me go, oh wow, like, you know. But also, how much is he going to get in this situation? Are you going to go to Tottenham right now and expect a whole load of money? Like, let's be truthfully honest here.
I think that there's a lot that remains to be seen. I think that obviously there's money that's got to be spent. There's players that have got to go. There's all this kind of stuff. But I think the main thing is they're going to try and play a different style of football. They're going to try and play a more positive style of football where possible. I know Nuno Espírito Santo is not the king of attacking football, but I think it's fair to say he's going to play some slightly more attacking football than Jose Mourinho. James, last managerial addition also announced today. Rafael Benitez, the old waiter, the old penguin, is back and in Everton after obviously previously having some success at Liverpool. Thoughts on Benitez at Everton? Do you think this is, because just quickly, I think this is, we got to get a name in. We can't lose a name and then not bring a name in. They had to get this guy.
Benitez to me has lost that aura about him. You know that when he was at Liverpool, there was a type of weird aura about the tactical genius, especially on Champions League
football psycho
away days. It's like now it's almost that Sam Allardyce effect, but he's just Spanish. You know, it doesn't fill me up with the old Rafa Benitez in it, like you know.
That's disrespectful. I agree with you, but that's disrespectful.
But like you know what I'm talking about. It's almost like he isn't no one's first choice,
right?
But he's a manager you bring in for convenience reasons, and that's what it feels with Everton. Another thing with it is that how does it work when this guy is so synonymous with Liverpool, and now he's on the Everton side? It just doesn't feel right. If I'm being truthfully honest.
One thing I will say, because this is something you see a lot in Italy all the time, there is a certain level of incestuousness when it comes to the managers, right? Like you've always got managers who it's like, oh, well, what the hell? He played for the team, he managed the team that I was at. And he's moved to, what? And like, same with players, how many times do we see a player play for Juve, play for Inter, play for Milan, just like it's nothing, So I just wonder if it does get to that case, especially with the manager turnover the way it is nowadays. The average manager spends just under 18 months in a job. Eventually, especially with these bigger names. And I think Rafa Benitez is still a big name. He's not the biggest name, but he's still a big name. Eventually, somewhere along the line, there are going to be a few jobs that we look at and go, that's kind of funny, Excuse me. So we got some new managers. That's very exciting. But keeping it in England, but keeping it and moving it to the national team. James and I I think we're going to try and fire through this because we don't have too long left here. James, Sterling or Kane? If you were to give your kind of main points here, this is a debate that James and I have had, over the last couple of days or so since the England result. James, what I want to ask you, and I want to kind of pin this down, is Kane not playing well and Sterling's playing really well in terms of the goals and all this kind of thing, or is Kane not playing well actually because of Raheem Sterling? What are your kind of thoughts or reactions to that?
I feel like they've played with each other a long time now, and I don't know what it is, but I feel like when it comes to these international tournaments, Harry Kane never really looks right. And Jack, this stems not just from this tournament, the 2018, 2016 World Cup. He just didn't look right, and I just feel like he hasn't looked right yet. I don't think it's due to nothing to do with Sterling. People want to pick out the fact that he isn't getting the ball, but I know if I'm not getting the ball in a situation that there's something going wrong with me. I might am I right making the right runs for my team to actually spot me? It's all good. It's all good making runs, but am I making the right runs where like my player can actually see me in that situation? I I don't know exactly what's going on with Kane, but that goal has helped him a lot, and hopefully that he'll kick on. And against Ukraine, he might bag a brace or even a hat trick in a situation. Raheem Sterling, on the other hand, let's give this guy his flowers. Let's give this guy his respect. Yes, he didn't have the greatest of years with Man City, but he's had multiple great years with Man City. A player can have a bad year, like as such, but Gareth Southgate has shown his belief in Raheem Sterling, and it's paid off every single time he's done it. He done it in the 2018 World Cup. He was effective for England, and now Jack, he's done it for this tournament here, and he scored 3 winners. And in my opinion, he's been England's best player. To me, you don't drop either one. You play both, and maybe you might add a Grealish or a Bukayo Saka next to them, but those two need to start because those are your main goal scorers.
For me, and obviously we'll put a cap on this because I'm sure it is probably going to be something we discuss after Saturday, I would imagine. To me, Raheem Sterling is offering our best player, Harry Kane, absolutely nothing. And that's kind of the major issue. If we look at Sterling's goals, yes, largely speaking, it's been two tap-ins and one great finish. Obviously, the build-up for his third goal, in terms of playing it into Kane, laying it off to Grealish to Shaw, and then back to Sterling. That's just fantastic all-round type of football. But for me, I think the most glaring thing there is that whenever Jack Grealish comes on the field, he provides Harry Kane with an opportunity. And we did see that in the most recent knockout.
Did he really provide Kane in the Croatia game? I feel like Jack Grealish should start, but I don't think he's like the shortcoming, or he's not the end all answer to what Harry Kane needs. I think Harry Kane needs to liven himself up. That's the main thing in my eyes.
He's completing take-ons, he's winning fouls, and he's got more assists in that position, only having played about 100 minutes or so. And to me, I don't want to try and get the best out of Raheem Sterling in terms of getting the best out of your best player and having your best player play well. I want to get the most out of Harry Kane because he's kind of the biggest threat in terms of a goal threat. And to me, Raheem Sterling, whilst we can say he is getting the job done, it's not like he's been fantastic and amazing. And it's the example that I've been giving lately is, if you're commuting to work and you've got a 2006 Renault Clio that your nan had before, but then it gets you to work and it's okay, and okay, we're still winning games and whatnot and getting to work. But if you've got a Bugatti in the garage in the shape of a Jack Grealish or a Jadon Sancho, I don't know why we're not losing it. So James, moving on to Gareth Southgate. I know you had a couple of comments that you wanted to make prior to recording. You talking about Gareth Southgate doubters. What do you want to say to people who are doubting Gareth Southgate? Me potentially being one of them. So this could open up a nice conversation here.
It makes me realize something, and yes, everyone in this world who watches football and have these shows are football experts in their own right.
Yep.
But Gareth Southgate, there's a reason why he's in the job, and there's a reason why he's got England to a semi-final. Regardless of what it is, he got England to a semi-final. I've seen past England teams fail against worse teams, and the fact of the matter is that he's getting it done right now for the England team shows that he knows what he's doing. Yes, he might not be the most flamboyant manager, and yes, I want to see him attack and do all these nice stuff and give me that. Oh, I've never seen England do this before, but I tell you what, we've never seen England do before, and that's win in international tournaments on a consistent basis, and that's what he's doing, and that's the main thing he needs to do. Tournament football isn't about playing well. This is not about a league season. If you can grind out 7 results, grind out 7 results, because at the end of the day, you get to the final and you win. And that is what Gareth Southgate is doing. Everything down to his preparation, his dealing with certain players, giving confidence to certain players, like a Harry Kane during during the last 2 games where the final game against Czech Republic where he could have dropped them, started him. Raheem Sterling, where he could have taken him out and brought in Jack Grealish because he trusts him so much.
Just a quick point. Just hold your thought. One thing that's impressed me, James, and the only reason I want to say this is so I don't forget for later. Jack Grealish isn't pissed off. Jadon Sancho is not pissed off. We're not getting rumors or reports that the players that he's not picking, Rashford or whoever, right? Henderson, they're not going, oh, I can't believe he's not picking me. The whole nation wants me to play. We're not playing that well. Why is he not picking me? And that is down to Gareth Southgate managing the expectation of the players and just saying, hey, guys, we think this gives us the best chance to win. And that, I think, is a very underrated. James, imagine if the France squad was in this position and you had like Mbappe, Griezmann, and Benzema on the bench. It would be absolute carnage.
Yeah. Like I do agree, but to me, certain decisions, like for instance, we had to talk about who should play in goal for England. People said Nick Pope, Dean Henderson. I said Jordan Pickford, but he stuck with the guy Jordan Pickford, and he's came up big. Harry Maguire was out injured. He bided his time, but he knew that he wanted to play Harry Maguire, John Stones, Carl Walker, Kevin Phillips, who, let's be honest, no one even had him in their team. Yeah, this guy is starting for England. Has started the last 4 games straight and has been fantastic for them. He got that right. And at the end of the day, what he's doing for England right now has been fantastic. And you have to give the guys flowers. Rather, you like the way he sets up, rather you like the type of way he plays. He's doing the most important thing as a manager, and that is winning. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think the issue for me is that England usually do get through against teams of an equal level, or slightly worse than them.
No. 2010 World Cup, USA draw, lost to Algeria. 2016, 2014 World Cup, you didn't win a game. Yeah.
James, this is my point. Like teams that we're usually kind of worse than under Gareth Southgate, we're usually getting the result. Whether it's a draw, whether it's a thing, we usually progress. It's the time that we come up against a team that are better than us that we don't even really have a shot. There is no faith. There is no anything. And unfortunately, as much as we can look at the World Cup and we can look at the Euros so far, England have not really faced a test.
No. Germany were a test.
James,
I think a lot of people
this is the worst Germany team in 20 years.
Yes, Jack. Me and you had Germany, England winning the game, but a lot of people. I looked at the odds and listen, Germany were slight favorites in
England were favorites
in like certain places. No, but in other places, Germany were favorites too. But Jack, it's still Germany. They still had Thomas Muller, they still had Leroy Sané, they still had Tony Kroos, some top players there. You got the job done. That is huge.
The problem is Germany are ranked 14th in the world. Okay, this is not the Germany team that everyone's expecting. It's at Wembley. The problem is right at the moment, and people who I saw somebody on Twitter say that England were comfortable against Germany. The game could have been 3-2 to Germany. I think the issue that I have with Southgate right now is I understand that it's all about getting the job done, but why not make the job easier for yourself and beat teams a little more comfortably with the better players that you have? As much as I'm kind of happy with things, I'm not going to be overly impressed if we make it to the final, because a lot of these games are all, against teams that are much worse. And then most of the time we're going to have home field advantage. If Gareth Southgate can get it done against an Italy or a Belgium, even though it's at Wembley, it's a team that's probably, you'd say, better than us, James. I think you'd say Italy and Belgium are better than England, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, like Italy are ranked lower than England. That, to me, that's a 50-50 game too.
Right, but my point is, it's when those kinds of results go your way, because to me it still feels as though when there's a team that's even marginally better, that England are just going to lose, and that always feels the way of it. We're too conservative. It's too much of a nail biter, and we don't go out and try and attack the game. We do play too defensive and too conservatively. To me, if Gareth Southgate did not qualify yesterday, I wanted him to resign today. Now, luckily, he won the game 2-0, and great, brilliant. It's a team that, at Wembley, it's a team that England should have beaten, especially the state of this German squad right now with Jogi Löw and how he's been managing this team over the last couple of years. So moving on, James, we do have a little bit, and we're going to have a little bit of a James Macanjola victory lap here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, final part of that because I have to go to sleep.
Yeah. We had the last 16 and we did our predictions. And the way the predictions work, and if anybody at home in the comments or just even to yourself, you want to do this, you get a point for the correct outcome. So in terms of who qualifies, and you get a point for the correct method of victory or score. Now, James, I had 3 points, which tells you that actually I only got a couple of the results right and I didn't get a single score right. James picked Belgium to go through. I picked Portugal. James is on 4 points. So James is leading me right now. As by 1 point, we still got a lot of games left. James, Euro 2020 quarterfinal predictions. Switzerland versus Spain. Who do you have? What's the score?
I want to say Switzerland, but I have Spain going through in another dramatic extra time game.
Score?
Spain 3-2 to Spain.
Ooh, 3-2, man. 3-2 extra time. Excuse me. I think Spain are going to keep the ball. And I think Switzerland are going to be tired. And I just have this kind of sneaking suspicion that this will be the game really where we see Spain actually seem convincing, follow the game plan perfectly, tire out the opposition. And I think that this squad is kind of gaining a little bit more in terms of confidence. And I think that this will be potentially Spain's best performance of the whole tournament. So I have Spain in 90 minutes 2-0 actually for that one. James,
well, Spain did win the game 5-0, so they had nothing they haven't been against.
Yeah, true.
But I don't understand.
Who was that against?
I'm not sure. I
Wasn't
think
that
it was Finland.
Oh, was it? I thought wasn't it? Was that not North Macedonia?
No, that was. I'm pretty sure it's Finland.
The big one, the big hitter. I mean, obviously, I'm going to sit here and tell you England, Ukraine's the big hitter, but James, let's be clear: Belgium versus Italy is the big hitter. Who have you got going through? And tell me why it's Belgium. What's the score?
What a match! I would not be surprised if it goes either way, but I've called Belgium to win. I'm going to stick my neck out and say Belgium. I want to say Belgium win on penalties.
Oh, James, that's huge. That's huge. Man, that is massive. I have Italy 3-2 in extra time. I think Giorgio Chiellini is going to come back. We know Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard aren't playing. And I think
No, they are. I'm pretty sure they are.
I don't think they are. I think that both of them were disregarded for this game, but would be available for the semis if they made it. That was the latest news I saw, unless you can find an update. But I've got Italy going through in extra time. I think Giorgio Chiellini against Lukaku is going to be one hell of a battle, and we'll see that. I just think that Italy are a good enough team, a good enough squad to potentially take advantage of that kind of potentially suspect Belgian defense. James.
Oh, wait, Jack. If it's a case where they're both not fit, Italy win. Let's go Italy win.
Okay.
Italy win 3-1.
3-1 to Italy, okay.
That just, to me, that just kills the whole vibe. Oh my days, the two best players, and
oh dear, I don't know about how Hazard not playing is potentially a good thing. But De Bruyne, that's like I tweeted this the other day. It's the difference between winning a Euros and not winning a Euros, having Kevin De Bruyne. Kind of a little bit of a lackluster one, James. Czech Republic versus Denmark. Who have you got and why?
I have Denmark, and just the fact this Christian Eriksen thing, and just Jack, the quality that they have. Like, they have serious quality to their name. Yes, Czech Republic did well against Netherlands, but they did get fortunate with that red card.
Yep.
I see Czech Republic winning. Let's
Denmark.
go.
Denmark winning?
Denmark. Denmark winning 3-1.
3-1. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew that you would pick Denmark. So this is the one where I'm going to try and sneak back a point on you. I've gone Czech Republic 2-1. This is my. I kind of think that Denmark will win, actually, because I agree with you. I think the Eriksen thing is huge, the whole nation, and I think a lot of neutrals will be supporting Denmark as well. But I do need to try and claw back a point on James, ladies and gentlemen, and this is my way of doing it. Moving on to, for me anyway, the main event. Ukraine against England, Stadio Olimpico in Italy. Stage is set. England surely in the semis, right, James?
Yeah. I'm still devastated about no Hazard or De Bruyne. That's just such a killer. But
Yep.
yeah, I have England win. Yes, England win. I think they're going to keep a clean sheet again. I think England win 2-0. I think England they're going to get a bit frustrated at times, but when they get that goal, they're going to get second one. Not going to give much away. It's going to be a 2-0 game for England. Easy money.
Yeah, everything James just said, if you don't mind, if we had an editor, I'd say just copy and paste that onto me saying it, because it's the same thing. England will keep another clean sheet, probably a goal, maybe in the first half, maybe. And then just, as the game gets more and more stretched, probably a second one later in the game.
To me, it's literally going to go what happened in the 2018 World Cup against Sweden in the quarterfinals. It's going to be the exact same thing in my eyes.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, James on 4 points, me on 3 points. I got some work to do. We do have, in all our games but one, we actually do have different results, which is interesting because a lot of the last 16 we actually had the same.
I think you should get like extra points for like double the points for getting the result right, because that's a big call.
I'm not. I don't want to change it now. Now that we've started, I'm not going to change it. But I've got the bonus point in there for the correct result as well. Trying to catch James up on that one. James, before we kind of sign off here, anything from you?
Bring on the quarterfinals. That's all.
Guys, thank you very much for watching. Drop a like on the video, comments if you've got your own predictions or anything. We've covered a lot of stuff today. We went hard on transfers, but unfortunately there has been a lot of news, so we really had to hit all that stuff. Anything that you want to talk to James and I about, and what we'll probably do as we get into more of the off season after the Euros finishes, it will be a lot more about transfers, and we'll do a lot more ask us anything type things. We'll go personal, we'll go football. I'll see how James and I feel comfortable asking more personal questions, but maybe we'll try and stick it to football. Drop some subscriptions as well if you're not subscribed. We're trying to hit 500, trying to then get to 1,000, and we're going to try and go live hopefully for the Copa America final, if we do get Brazil against Argentina.
Thank you for watching, guys. This is Box to Box Football. Please hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.